Hi, I'm Christian Maslowski, President and CEO of Aspire Johnson County. Aspire is Johnson County's local economic development organization and Chamber of Commerce. We exist to drive economic development and business success in the Johnson County and Southern Indian area. But how do we do that? You probably wondered what we're working on when we're not in front of you at a program or a meeting. How do we drive economic development and business success? Well, this week, you've already learned about our school-to-work efforts and how we are connecting our kids to local employers to become tomorrow's future workforce. You've already learned about how we help attract and keep companies here to get them to grow in Johnson County or to launch in Johnson County, which creates jobs and increases wages to be spent at all of our businesses. And you've learned about how we work with our volunteer business leaders to help coach and be a resource to other volunteers and other businesses to help them be successful. Today I'm going to talk to you about advocacy. Most business owners understand how policy and legislation impacts their operations and their bottom line, but most don't have time to track the legislation and voice their support or opposition. This is where your local Chamber of Commerce gets to work for you. It's one of the core functions that chambers of commerce have been performing in the United States for almost 250 years, to support policies that enhance the market and to oppose policies that encumber the free market or create unnecessary regulation. Aspire primarily focuses our advocacy efforts on state legislation, which takes shape here at the Indiana State House. You've probably attended our luncheons where we bring together our elected officials with business leaders. That's an important component to business advocacy. But there is so much more that happens behind the scenes. For starters, where do we as an organization or a local business community stand on certain issues? As an association, I don't make that decision. In fact, no one person does. At Aspire, we have a policy council called our Business Advocacy Council. And they are comprised of members just like you who volunteer their time and talent to help us establish our policies on various matters. For example, we have policy positions on early childhood education, government wage setting, broadband, transit infrastructure, government regulation, mental health, and more. Our positions are broadly specific. So, for example, within mental health, our position is that we support the policies that encourage the development and implementation of mental health support systems. So this is specific because we're talking about, within the mental health space, we're just talking about the support systems. We say we support the development of support systems. But it's also broad because we don't say which system. We're not narrowly focused on one detail, one individual system, right? We want to lift up support in general for mental health support. And there's various ways to do that. So the council crafts this position and their recommendation and sends that to the board of directors, who then ratifies that position, would reject it or amend it and adopt it. So these final policy positions allow us to then lobby our support or opposition to specific bills. So the broad policy helps us get to work on specific bills. And Aspire is represented at the State House by Torchbearer Public Affairs. They lobby on our behalf. What does it mean? They lobby. What is that? Everybody knows about lobbying. What does that mean? Well, first of all, it's a lot of meetings. But most importantly, they are meeting with and having conversations with individual legislators about our positions and about our support or opposition to various legislation or pieces of legislation. They testify for us. So they are representing Aspire in committee meetings and hearings and voicing our support or opposition. They coordinate meetings between Aspire leadership, community leaders from Johnson County, and legislators. And occasionally I also join them to meet with legislators and to testify at hearings. So when we say we've been tracking a bill or an issue, it means that both the Aspire staff and our lobbyists are following the bill-making process on a bill or a collection of bills. For example, this last session in early childhood education, there were 8 bills that were filed. We were tracking all of those through the bill-making process, all the while meeting with legislators, having conversations with legislators, testifying in support of particularly those bills, or if it was a different topic, we might have been testifying in opposition for each bill throughout the bill-making process. And because a broad range of issues can impact economic development and business success, we typically kick off each General Assembly session tracking up to 200 individual pieces of legislation. We know you are busy running your business. Business advocacy is an important way that Aspire is looking out for you and positively impacting our community. Thank you for your membership investment, and thank you for joining me today for a chat about our work behind the scenes.